to stay.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Boards, a podcast dedicated to the actions and interests of skaters beyond skateboarding. My guest today, Martin Ander aka Mander, grew up in Stockholm, Sweden. Surrounded by art and comics his entire life, he naturally gravitated early on towards punk and hip-hop music, as well as skateboarding and graffiti in the late 80s to early 90s. Since the early 2000s, Martin has been working as a freelance illustrator and graphic designer. His work can be found, among other things, on hundreds of board graphics for brands such as Bellows, Flip, Sweet or Chrononaut. He has also produced numerous concert posters and album covers for artists such as Fever Ray, KRS-One or the Pixies, collaborated with brands such as CHPO, Ruka or Sneakers and Stuff. The list is endless. I had the opportunity to chat with him early June 2024 to discuss how skateboarding has been a fundamental part of his life and career. So here's my conversation with Martin. I hope you'll enjoy it. So I saw that you were born in 1976 and that you grew up in Stockholm. Your father was an illustrator and graphic designer, and your mom worked in publishing. And so I guess you've been surrounded with art and like comics all your life. And that must have been a huge inspiration growing up, seeing that all over. And I think your parents would take you to like exhibitions and bookstores. And so you must have gotten a lot of visual stimulation even at a very early age.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so among the many different influences that I can mention from an early age, of course, punk was very, very big, graffiti, hip-hop, Mad magazines, Robert Crumb, underground comics, Rick Griffin, psychedelic art posters. These are just some of the things that might have influenced you at an early age and have kept influencing you throughout your career.
Yeah.
And so to make the connection with skateboarding, I saw that you had your first interaction with skating in 1985, but actually got your first board on a trip to California. You bought your first board at a skate shop in Santa Monica called Rip City, which was a Santa Cruz Rob Roskop board, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so eventually you got into graffiti. I think you started doing that in the early 90s. I'm not sure what year exactly, but from being in that world and starting to write and everything, you connected with the graffiti magazine Underground Productions, which you worked for in the 90s, and you also were the artistic director for a bit over there.
Yeah.
Also, what I wanted to mention is that you went to art school for a year, but I think going there, you kind of figured out that you weren't necessarily super interested in like painting or sculptures. You were really more interested in graphic art. And so you were basically self-taught. Like even though you did this year of art school, you basically learned by drawing and doing your art throughout the years.
Yeah.
And so I saw that you also worked at an advertising agency for a couple years in this kind of early stages of your career. And that kind of gave you a more professional approach to this work of working as a freelance illustrator and graphic designer.
Yeah.
And so you started also doing board graphics, I think in 2007. I think the first company you did board graphics for was Bellows, a Swedish brand. And then eventually, of course, Flip Skateboards was probably the most famous brand that you've done graphics for. Also Sweet, which was the ancestor of Sour Solution. And today I know you do graphics, among other things, for... so I don't know how to pronounce that, but Chrononaut?
Chrononaut.
Chrononaut, yeah, okay. Which is a Swedish brand as well, I think.
Yeah.
And so you've also done a lot of work around like music, like concert posters, album covers. Of course, like one of your most famous works is the Fever Ray cover, which came out in 2008 or 9.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was a very pivotal moment for you that kind of gave you a lot of media attention and probably opened up a lot of opportunities in the years following. And so you've done, concert posters and album covers for many different bands throughout the years. And in the recent ones that I've seen, you've done some for the Pixies, for Jezza, for KRS-One, I think Rakim. And also, I didn't know this artist because I'm from France, so I don't really follow the Swedish music scene that much. But so I'm going to butcher his name, but this artist, Håkan Hellström?
Oh, yeah, like that? Yeah, that's kind of Sweden's... there's not really
an equivalent.
It's no, not really. It's like a very, very, very big artist, kind of like a modern Bob Dylan kind of thing.
Wow.
But he's like arena show big in Sweden,
Right,
so,
right. And so you did a lot of illustrations for his tour in 2017.
Yeah.
So that gave you a lot of, again, coverage. Your illustrations were like in magazines and on public transportation, on billboards. So that must have given you a lot of like eyeballs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that was also a big moment. Also something I just wanted to mention, and we'll talk about this at some point, but I read, and I thought that was interesting, that you draw a lot by hand, because like the lines feel a bit more alive by drawing by hand rather than, using like an iPad or like a computer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I think you still to this day work a lot by hand, and then once like a sketch is kind of roughly ready, then you scan it and then work on it and put some colors in it and stuff. But the basic first draft is always by hand, or maybe most of the time by hand.
Yeah, I try to keep the outlines should be done in ink or pen, and then I kind of the same way that skateboard graphics were done like in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But then they had to all the rubylith cut out all the colors, and for the screen print I just do that in the computer, but I still have the original art as a physical piece.
Mm-hmm. And so today you've been, as I just mentioned, you've been working as an illustrator, a graphic designer for a long time. I also read that you don't like to call yourself an artist, even though obviously you are, but you don't really want to put yourself in that category.
Yeah, maybe that's a Swedish thing, because here in like I read when I see like art shows in the US or something, it could be anything from graphic design to, but we in Sweden we kind of separate a little bit, like design and art is kind of two different things more.
Yes.
And art should be more like about, it should be coming from inside you, it's like a much more
like
things to it than just
or,
drawing. Yeah, that deeper, and it should tell a story, and it should be also be from that, the art school, gallery, museum kind of way,
Yeah.
But I don't come from that way. I've never been a part of that world. I've done a lot of museum exhibitions, but that hasn't been at art museums. That's been at like regional museums. So
okay.
So they kind of see me more as design, even though I do art too, and kind of try to incorporate that in my work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think today, if I'm not mistaken, you live right outside of Stockholm, and I don't know if you're still living there, but I saw the name was Gnesta or something like that.
Yeah, I lived there for 12 years, but now I just moved back to Stockholm 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Okay, and you have two kids who must be pretty like I was gonna say old, but grown up now.
They're 18 and 20.
Yeah. All right, so how about we just jump into these questions? So the first one I have, let's see.
Tjena Martin, Mange här. Hope you're okay. I was thinking about, we used to go to a lot of punk rock shows in the late 80s, early 90s, and hung out with a bunch of crazy punk rockers. How much has punk rock affected your art, you think, like today? Also, maybe you got some good story or a good character to tell us about from that era. Take care. Bye.
All right. That was Magnus Gyllenberg.
Exactly.
He was actually one of the first like real skaters I got to become friends with. We grew up in the same neighborhood, and someone in my school said there's a skate park in this part of the neighborhood, and I was like, skate park, I have to go there. And it was actually like a quarter pipe, like a super crappy quarter pipe, and some But I went there, and then I think it was 3 guys came up, and he was one of them, and we started talking, and then we became friends, and then we done a lot of creative things together. We did like skate mags or skate scenes and stuff when we were kids together.
Right.
And, it's a big part of my creative life, actually, I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah, but to answer Magnus' question, and he works with the Swedish Skateboard Association now. And
Yes, exactly.
He's a staple in the Swedish skateboard scene.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to answer his question, I would say punk rock really influenced me in the first. It was when I started reading Thrasher magazine in maybe 87 or something, and kind of just the ads for this punk band. They always looked so cool, and the logo types were like so cool and intriguing. You really wanted to know more about it. Mm. And then because Magnus is 1 year older, and he had friends in his school that had punk bands and stuff. When they played, we went, and no, it was cool. It was really like the first time I set my foot in something other than the world I grew up in, and met people from other parts of town and people that looked really cool, and
Yeah, sure.
and everybody was doing something. Everybody was playing in a band or just doing something cool, taking photos or just doing a fanzine or something.
Yeah, some creative outlet. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that really influenced me, and I really loved this, because one of the first. Well, I when I was a kid, I found out a band, and I just bought the record that had the coolest cover.
Yeah, sure.
So kind of around the same couple of years, when I was maybe like 14, I borrowed a Black Flag album from Magnus. I don't remember which one it was, but the covers were always really good,
Yeah.
The Raymond Pettibon covers. And I also bought the Iggy Pop's Brick by Brick with the Charles Burns cover, which is amazing. And I would say that's a big part of also the connecting, art to something else, like in the way you connect like skate graphics with skateboarding.
Yeah.
I could tell that this kind of expression was connected to this kind of DIY subculture or expression, which was which is kind of has followed me my whole life. That I think I really like when art or like drawings are connected to something else. It's a part of a bigger scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then some funny character he asked about.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was also one of the like pivotal moments in my life, and we went to. Me and Magnus went to Örebro when we were like maybe 15 or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was the day after my parents told me that they were getting a divorce. So my life was like really upside down.
Yeah.
And we went on a trip the day after that to Örebro. And I remember on the way there, I was like, my head was just spinning, everything was so... I had no idea what was happening, or I was like, did I dream that? Everything was,
disoriented.
And we came to Örebro, which is about 2 hours from Stockholm, a small town. And they had a really cool skate scene, and everybody in that skate scene were playing in bands, and like the Millencolin guys are from there. And I met all those guys in one weekend. I tried alcohol for the first time that weekend.
Yeah.
And I even made out with a girl that weekend. So it was
perfect. There you go.
It was a great experience. So every time I come to that city, I'm like, I love this city, And they still have a great skate scene and a great art scene and everything. It's that was a good trip.
Okay, let's see. The next one I have is from Martin Karlsson.
Oh, cool.
The founder of Bellows. So as I mentioned earlier, I think the first board graphic you did was for Bellows.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Right. So he said, growing up in the Sheraton garage or growing up on the internet, which is more dangerous?
Well,
so what is the am I saying this right? Sheraton?
Yeah, the Sheraton garage. Yeah, it's like the Sheraton Hotel in Stockholm has a parking garage under it. And a part of that garage, well, it's not really part of the garage. We called it the Sheraton garage, but it's like right outside the garage. There's like some loading docks that we skated from. It was the first like indoor garage we skated, and it was about from 91 maybe we started skating there.
Okay.
And it just has some metal curbs and some manual pads. That's it. But we spent like many years there.
Yeah.
It was cold, and it was strange people hanging around. It was dirty. It was like sometimes when you went there, you didn't want to go there yourself, because it could be junkies sleeping there or prostitution or like nothing good for a kid. But we kind of made it, because back in the early 90s, we were like so few skaters in Stockholm. So we...
it was the meeting spot, kind of?
Yeah, it was the meeting spot, and we always went there, and we kind of made it ours. And after a while, the security just didn't care, because they thought it was better to have the skaters there than the bad people,
Right.
And we just raised hell there for maybe 10 years or something.
Yeah.
No, at least it felt like 10 years, but it probably wasn't really. But Martin, who asked the question, he was probably the president of the Sheraton garage,
Okay.
And that's a good question. It depends on mentally. I think growing up today is more dangerous with all the, maybe physically it wasn't good growing up in the Sheraton garage with the cold. You were like sweating, and it was like negative degrees outside, and you were like sweating and then freezing and sweating, and there was like syringes on the floor sometimes. And but we had a really good time. It could be pretty tough, pretty it wasn't a very friendly scene, even though it was friendly. It was very important for us, but people weren't really nice to each other, well, some were, of course, and those are the people you still hang out with today, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it was, I would say, it probably wasn't very good to spend 3-4 years of your life in a parking garage, but I don't regret anything.
Yeah. Well, it brought you here, so to everything you've done. So it's part of your journey. Yeah, and me and Martin and Jens Andersson, a photographer, we did a book about the Sheraton Garage. A few years ago. It's still available in my web shop. Okay. I'm very proud of that book. Actually, it's a time capsule. You know. Yeah. I was wondering, while you were talking about this, I think maybe it's a different place, but I remember seeing Ali Boulala's Epically Latered, and there's some footage of him skating when he was a teenager in a parking, like a underground. I don't know if it's underground, but like a covered, basically parking area or something with loading docks. Maybe that's that place. Did he used to skate there, or? Yeah, he used to skate there a lot, but I think the footage you're thinking about is a loading dock near where he lived. Okay. Where there's like high, like he could jump down stuff. This is just like really low curbs and manual pads. Yeah. I see. Okay. But they were metal, so they were really like good to skate. All right, let's see. The next one I have is from Finsta Fari. Ah, cool. Finsta, yeah. Finsta, yes. I'm going to butcher all these people's names, and I'm very sorry. I'm going to try to do my best, but I'm going to definitely butcher a few names. But Finsta, who is an artist also from Sweden. So he said, what is your first memory of coming in contact with graffiti growing up, and what made you attracted to it? Wow. Well, first of all, Finsta is an artist friend of mine, a quite old friend. He's a world famous graffiti muralist and graphic design or graphic artist. He's a really amazing person. Yeah, but to answer his question, I would say the absolute first contact is, I think there was something on the news about the subways being bombed, like people tagging on the subways. Right. And it was about this writer called Zip13, who was like the first big tagger in Stockholm. Okay. And then I remember going into the town when I was into the Stockholm city, because I lived in a suburb, and I went into this subway car that was totally bombed by a writer named Cruel. Mm-hmm. And I remember my mom and her sister was with me, and they were saying like, this is awful. And I was like, how can you say this? This is the coolest thing I ever seen. You're so wrong. Yeah. I thought it was so cool, and I had no idea what it was, but I just thought, this looks so cool. I need to do this one day. Yeah. So those are my first real memories of graffiti. Mm-hmm. But I think we also had these Danish graffiti stickers. It was like some, you bought like a chewing gum in a little package, and you got some stickers, like a garbage pail kit or something. Right, yeah. And there was a Danish company that I can't remember the name of that made stickers with graffiti on it. You bought a chewing gum and you got like a sticker with a graffiti on it by some Danish graffiti writers, and they were spread all over Northern Europe. That was also seeing those were really, like, what is this? This is so cool, but I don't really know what it is, but it just looks so cool. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's some early memories. Thanks, Finsta. Did you do graffiti for a long time? I read that it was like around 10 years, but I don't know how accurate that is. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, I started maybe in 92. I started like being really interested in it in like 87, around that. Yeah. But I didn't understand how to do it, so it took almost to 92 when I met some guys who showed me the ropes, But then I painted a lot for like throughout the 90s, I would say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then I kind of slowed down, and then I had like comebacks, but I have to say that I never been like a hardcore tough guy graffiti writer. I've always been just doing fame, like Hall of Fames and like chill walls in the old buildings and things like that. Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I've always been around that scene for a long time, and I still am. The next question I have is, I think, linked to graffiti again, but let's see. Wow.
Hi Martin, this is Malcolm. I have a question for you. Can you tell us something about your parents and how they influenced the way you did graffiti as a teenager? Thanks.
All right, this is Malcolm Jacobson, one of the founders of Document Press, which is the publishing company I've been worked with for a long time. Right, exactly. Well, I need to say, to answer his question, I would say that he is. Oh well, obviously my father influenced me, even though he wasn't maybe a fan of the illegal graffiti. But he also never like complained about me doing it. You know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if they knew about you doing it, or if you kind of kept it a secret in the early years.
I got caught once, and he was just like, okay, oh, that's too bad, you know. But of course, he was like, oh, that's not good, but just pay your fines and we're good, you know.
Yeah, okay.
But he actually bought me the book Subway Art in
Yes.
86, I think, or 87, I don't remember. It must have been 87, which was really influential.
So he planted a seed, yeah.
Yeah, but I think we were at an art fair, and they had like a bookstore there, and I didn't really care for the art at the art fair. It was like I didn't understand it really, but when I saw that book, I was like, this is the coolest thing. I need to have this book, and he bought it for me. So and he also bought the first issue of Juxtapost magazine for me.
Oh yeah.
Because I was subscribing to Thrasher magazine, and they have the High Speed Productions, the same publisher.
Oh, okay.
So, and he just said like, oh, there was because he paid for the subscription. So he said like, there was another magazine that it was like a deal, you can get both these magazines for the same price or something. So he ordered the Juxtapost magazine because he just read that it's an art magazine. And
yeah.
That magazine, the first issues really blew me away too, because I've never seen anything like that before.
Let's see. The next one I have is from, I'm not sure how to say his name, Bozze?
Bozze, yeah.
Old skate friend of yours, right?
Yeah. Well, not that old. We met about 20 years ago.
Okay, so not childhood, but okay.
No, not childhood, but yeah.
Right. So let's see. He said, I want to ask him something about his hardcore punk rock roots. He told me he had the Samhain skull painted on his jacket. And the second question is, what are your top 3 favorite skateboard graphics of all time?
All right. Yeah, Bozze is a semi-pro skater from Stockholm. He writes for Tomb Skateboards out of Ireland. Oh, out of Wales, yeah. Oh,
okay.
He's a really funny guy. He skates in his really own way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really nice guy. So, yeah, my punk rock roots are... I don't know. I started going to punk shows around maybe 1990 or 1990 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably never really called myself like a punker or a punk rocker or something, but because I've always been into other things too. But it's definitely a big part of my world.
Development and yeah.
Yeah, and I still go to punk shows and I hang out with a lot of musicians from that world and people that are involved in that world. And yes, I had the Danzig skull I had painted on my leather jacket.
Okay.
But I never really felt comfortable with that leather jacket. You know, I bought one because I wanted to be like the punk, you know, the punks have like this, you know, biker jacket.
Yeah.
But I thought it was, since I was a skater, you know, you wanted it was too short for me, you know.
Okay.
I wanted like the longer t-shirts and stuff, so I never really felt comfortable. Yeah, but I had a lot of stuff painted on there for a while, a very short while, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the top 3 skateboard graphics, well, that's
tough one.
So easy and so hard at the same time, you know.
Exactly.
But I would say some pretty different ones now. First of all, it's obviously something by Jim Phillips, and those ones change every time I look through his books. But I would say maybe the Jason Jesse Neptune one is one of them. This is like so perfectly centered. Or the Corey O'Brien one, the one with the skull throwing a fireball.
Okay.
That's a great one too. And then something more quirky from that era would be the Schmidt Sticks, Joe Lopez Barbecue. Or, no, is it Joe Lopez? I can't remember. Everything is... Yeah, but something like the Neil Blender kind of style, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because then I saw like it doesn't have to be that perfect as the Santa Cruz graphics are.
Yeah.
And then I would say maybe something from like New Deal or something, because that really, I'd say the Goran Boberg's Siamese deck.
Okay.
Because it's a good graphic and it really captured what I was doing at that time. You know, it's when I saw that the New Deal and the shut skate from New York, and they had like the kind of graffiti influence in the skateboard world, you know, which felt, because before that I was like not sure if skateboarding and graffiti had a connection, you know.
Okay.
But when at that era, like the early 90, maybe 99, 92 or something, I saw these, especially New Deal, had a really like big connection with the graffiti world, which was, and even 101, a Natas model had a graffiti piece on it, and you know, I could tell that okay, these worlds work together. So
yeah, there's some
I'm
connections
into it now.
there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
This is from me, but you mentioned that you would buy, in your youth, you would buy sometimes albums, music albums, based on the art cover.
Yeah.
Did you used to do the same thing with skateboarding? Like, did you buy skateboards just based on the graphics? Or,
yeah, definitely.
Or did you also pay attention to, like, the shape of the board or the size or, like, some other elements of it? Or
the first maybe 5 graphic boards I got was definitely for the graphic, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Which was kind of a... Sometimes, one time I bought, remember that some pros had like mini models?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I bought the Alva Fred Smith, it was called Punk Size, which just sounded cool. And it was so much smaller than I needed, you know.
Yeah.
But I really liked the graphic, so I bought it.
Do you collect a lot of boards? I'm sure you must have a lot of... I don't know if you have all the boards you've designed, but you must have a lot of them.
I have almost all of the ones that I've designed, so I have about 300 boards in my storage. But I only have a few other boards, which are like some friends' pro models, some bands that I'm friends with that made a board and I got one. And that's about it. Maybe like 4 or 5, you know.
Not a crazy board collector, okay.
No, I'm not a big collector of anything. I've never been into collecting stuff. I don't know. I should be, I think. You know, I feel like I have the interest to do it, but I just don't. I buy one thing and I'm like, oh, I really like this thing. I need to start collecting these, and then I never do, you know.
Okay.
So I actually made a choice back when I was on eBay trying to buy a Santa Cruz Jim Phillips graphic. Mm-hmm. And then I just like, no, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm not going down this part.
Rabbit hole,
you know. Yeah. So I never did. But I wish I had I wish I had all of them.
No. Yeah. No, but it can be a rabbit hole. I mean, when you see people like Tim Anderson, Bob Shirt, like when he started doing his thing, like, I mean, it's obviously taken him a long way. Like now he's doing interviews with like Guy Mariano and stuff. But I'm sure it must cost a lot of money to get all these boards, but also it must be cool also to get like these incredible boards and have them. I don't know. Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, but I think it's the same thing with like record collecting. You buy some, you sell some, you make a profit and get another one, you know. It probably can be pretty self-sustaining, but... Yeah,
but you prefer to keep it moving rather than stacking like a whole bunch of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, but you know, I have a lot of record collecting friends and, you know, they're crazy.
Let's see. The next one I have is from Nathan Hamelberg.
Yeah.
He's a friend of yours that I think you guys met through doing concert posters for these Bring the Noise events that happened at Debaser, like a music place in the late 90s.
Yeah, he's a DJ and a record collector.
Oh, okay, there you go.
and like cultural journalist now.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So he said, Martin, what role did hip-hop play in the development of your style as a young artist? We've been talking a lot about punk rock and graffiti, but how did hip-hop kind of come into play in all this?
It's kind of the same thing as with punk, I think, because I've been into both scenes at the same time, all the time, something. So it was just like, I didn't really care what it was. I was watching 120 Minutes on MTV and Yo MTV raps at MTV at the same time, you know. It was just like something new, something cool. Yeah. Something that had like a visual expression to it. And in the graffiti scene, some of the writers are really, really into hip hop and some are not. Mm-hmm. But there's clearly a connection there, you know, between the graffiti and hip hop, even though it's debated how much the connection is, if it's more like a thing that media put together or not. But in the 90s, when you went to a hip hop jam or a club, there was always graffiti present there too. But also when I grew up, a lot of the clubs were hip hop clubs, and that was the time when they had like flyers everywhere. Now it's just like Facebook posts, but they had like flyers everywhere, and I was, collecting these flyers and bringing them home, and like, this one is cool, I put it on my wall, and that was also a part of the visual scene, I think,
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, and also the music is the same thing with the punk music. It was like really like an expression of something else than the ordinary world,
What about nowadays? Like, do you listen to a lot of current hip hop or punk rock music that's coming out? Do you pay attention to what's coming out, or from Sweden or from elsewhere?
Well, not really. I listen to the Swedish stuff that comes out. I give it a listen, and especially if I know someone in the band or like a friend with someone, And I go to both hip hop and punk shows and clubs, but I don't like the modern way of hip hop. I'm not really interested in. I don't understand the beats. I don't understand the lyrics. I understand them, but I don't know what they say because I'm too old for that. That's their thing.
Yeah.
And the punk shows and things, I still go to those quite much, but it's mostly because I have lots of friends that are really interested in that scene, like really into it or playing in bands and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this band is playing, you want to go?" And sometimes I listen to it before and go, and sometimes I don't, So
yeah,
it's more of a social thing nowadays, I think. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Next one I have is from Tobias Barenthin Lindblad. Yes, from Document Press.
Yeah.
I think he used to work with you at Underground Productions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So he said, I would like to know how it came that Martin started doing posters, like the early ones for hip-hop jams at Cafe 44 in Stockholm back in 1996.
Yeah, that was... well, first of all, Tobias is he's a culture journalist, and we worked together at Document Press and with Underground Productions before that, and he's kind of been like a mentor to me, I would say, in life. Yeah, but it's I was really into the rock art, the 60s psychedelic rock art posters thing.
Right.
And I really wanted to do that. And that was before I had no idea how to do work. I was maybe like 14 or something when I bought some books about that. Mm-hmm. But then the local skate shop, Street Style, which was a skate shop in the late 80s in Stockholm, they had like a sale, and they asked me if I want to do a poster for the sale because Per, the guy who ran it, he knew that I like to draw. So I did first I did some posters for that. And then when I got a little bit older, some friends started playing in bands, and I started doing like some concert posters for them when they were playing. Mm-hmm. But then in the early or mid 90s, my friend Marc, he was a club promoter and a DJ.
Yeah.
And he started doing these kind of like hip hop and reggae and a little bit of rock and soul clubs, and ska and that kind of stuff. So, and I really wanted to do posters. That was like the thing that I wanted. So I think I just asked him if I could do the poster, and I could. And then I figured out that I couldn't really do that psychedelic style because it wasn't that style of a club, So I kind of mixed a little bit of graffiti with a little bit of psychedelic poster art, a little bit of my drawing style, and that's how I started.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, you've been doing concert posters for a lot of incredible musicians. How do you usually get those gigs? Kind of I was curious, how do you connect with, for example, KRS-One or Rakim or people like that? How does that happen?
Well, it's usually through the booker, the Swedish booker or the European booker.
Yep.
And that they want a poster for the European tour because the artist doesn't supply posters or anything for the tours. So, but with KRS it was fun because we did, the Swedish booker asked me if I wanted to do the poster for the Swedish, I think it was 2 gigs in Sweden. Mm-hmm. And KRS really liked them, and he reached out to me after that and asked me if I wanted to do an album cover for him. So I did that, which was really
himself?
cool.
He reached out himself?
No, his wife reached out.
Oh, his wife. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So that was cool. Yeah. But usually it's through those. But now when I've done for the bigger arena rock things like the Pixies and Pearl Jam, which are more traditional gig poster, it's like a whole scene of those, That's through they have a merch company that takes care of the merch.
And they reach out to you?
They reach out to me, yeah.
All right, next one I have is an audio one.
Hey Martin, this is Viktor. I hope you're good and that you're enjoying recording this podcast. I'm looking forward to it. I have 3 questions for you. My first is, you're both a graffiti artist and a skater. Where would you say you found most of your inspiration to who you are today? Second, you worked with a lot of brands. Have you ever considered starting your own? And last but not least, you have a story of almost getting caught or getting caught. Take care. Ciao.
Yeah, the first question. Oh, that was Viktor from CHPO.
CHPO, yeah, exactly.
All right. What was the first question again?
So basically it was...
I remember now. What influenced me the most, graffiti or skateboarding? I can't really say that because it's been like so intertwined for me.
Yeah, it happened at the same time.
At the same time. Skateboarding was a little bit before that, but I would say skateboarding because that brought me around the city a few years before graffiti did.
Okay.
So... And I met so much amazing people through skateboarding when I was really young. When most people would just hang out with the kids in their school, we were out like hang out with people from all over the city,
Yeah.
Which happened again when I got into graffiti. But since it was earlier, I would say skateboarding is the most influential one. But I've probably been deeper into the graffiti scene,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And the second one was...
starting your own brand. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think about that all the time. But I don't want to be that guy, I'm a creative guy. I don't want to deal with, money and orders and shippings. And, that's a total creative killer for me.
Yeah, it can be, for sure.
Yeah, I need to team up with someone who can make that for me.
Handle the business side of things and let you on the creative.
Yeah, that I think I would like to. But I also think if I got just to make things for myself, I don't think I would do much.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of need that whip that says, you need to finish this now, and I do it,
Sure, yeah.
Maybe if I was just drawing for myself, I don't think I would be getting much done. Yeah. But if I had a good partner that would take care of the boring stuff for me and say we need 5 graphics till this date, and who is also really inspiring, and that could work. But I don't know. I'm not really comfortable being a business owner too, and
Yeah. But hypothetically speaking, what brand would you start? What would you sell? Would you like to do clothes, boards, something in skateboarding, something completely different? If anything was possible, what would you like to do?
Oh, if anything was possible. Well, I don't think, of course, t-shirt graphics and skateboard graphics are where I'm from or what I like the most. But I don't think I would start one of those brands because there are so many already.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think that demographic. I think my style is a little bit too mature for the new generations, maybe. So I would try to make something that kind of is meant for my generation, or maybe just the one below my generation.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I want to do wallpapers and fabric and these patterns and things like that could be licensed over and over again.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and also all kinds of the art world would something, just doing posters for art. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but and I also been interested in more designing bigger concepts, not just an image, a whole concept for an exhibition or concert series or something like that, bigger projects, longer projects,
Yeah, I remember maybe it was for the Fever Ray album, and we'll talk about that later, but I think for that project you did the art for the cover, but you also did some elements for other parts of the merchandising basically around the album, and I thought that was interesting. So it's not just about the cover, it's about a bunch of things that kind of revolve around it.
Yeah, that's always fun to get those jobs, because it's you can build a bigger world around the concept,
Mm-hmm, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and the last question was about me getting caught.
Getting caught, yeah. Or almost getting caught, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's happened a few times, but since I've never been like the super hardcore graffiti guy. It's just like, and I've always been painting at places that no one cares about. It's usually just like some old dude screaming at you and you run away, you know, nothing that wild, you know.
Okay.
Well, one time because we were hanging out at graffiti, like where other graffiti guys hung out all the time. So me and my friends, I don't know if we've been painting or we haven't, or we were on our way to paint, because we had a big bag full of spray cans and we were just stopped in the city by an undercover cop, and it was like, "Hey guys, what are you doing? Can I have a look in your bag?"
Okay. Oh shit.
And we were like, yeah, you can. And he opened the bag and he saw it just like full of spray cans, and he was like, "Oh, well, okay, cool. I was just wanted to see if you had any drugs on you."
Oh, okay.
And then we got away, and we was like, "What?" Because usually back in the 90s, it was really tough. It was really tough against graffiti. So if there would be any other cop, he would just take the bag and like, "You're not allowed to carry this around." But he was just asking if we were doing drugs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably better to do graffiti than do drugs. It's definitely better to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be for legal purposes too, you know. But
yeah. Sure.
So because back in those days, people were getting stopped and frisked all the time, and just they took your cans or even your sketchbooks and cameras and everything, you know. But he didn't care about that at all, which I think was pretty funny.
Okay. Okay, next one I have is from Karl Grandin.
Yeah, Karl Grandin, yeah.
So you asked, what is your favorite Maria Plaza memory?
All right. Karl is a graphic designer and artist from Stockholm. Yeah, and Maria Plaza is the place, we call it Maria Plaza. It's like apartment hotel that me and some friends lived in the 90s.
Okay.
And a lot of people has gone through that. When you move away from home, you live there or you used to live there for a few years before you got a real apartment. And I shared a friend with well, it was probably when we had a party, and it was like a small, like 2-room apartment, and it was probably like 100 people there.
Oh, wow.
It was so much people. And like people were sitting on top of each other, you know, and then after a while, it wasn't the police, but some kind of like the guards, someone called the guards on us.
Okay.
And a writer called Asthma, he was like, I take care of this. I will take care of this. Mm-hmm. Everybody hide in the rooms. So everybody hid in the rooms, and it was like people were standing on top of each other. It was like so full of people. And he closed all the doors, and he opened the front door, and there was 2 guards there. I'm like, there's a party here. You need to shut it down. He also just wore underwear when he went out, so that it should look like he just woke up.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "Oh, hi, what's the problem?" And they're like, "Oh, you need to shut down the party." He was like, "What party?"
What party?
Yeah. And there was like, there's like 100 pair of shoes here, because we're like, you know, we take off our shoes in Sweden, so the hallway was just full of shoes. And he was like, yeah, I guess
I just have a lot of shoes.
Yeah, but that was pretty
hilarious.
fun. No, but it was like people just in our apartment. It was in the central Stockholm, so everybody just any time of day it could knock on the door, and there was some friend of ours like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? I'm coming in for a while." You know, it was like an open house. It was really fun for a few years. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see. Next one is an audio one.
Hey, Martin. I'm standing here with Charlie in one of the back rooms of the school, going through all the drawings and things from the year past, talking about you. And one question that I have is, how do you go about your work when you get an assignment or a job from a client? What are the 5 or 10 steps that you go through before the final product? Please take us through your process, and enjoy the interview, and hope to both see and talk to you soon. You are the best and great role model and dear friend and all that. Thank you. Bye.
All right, that was John Dahlquist from Bryggeriets Gymnasium and Charlie from Bryggeriets Gymnasium. Wow. Well, to answer his question, it's totally depends on what client you have. You know, some of clients, they really know that I'm doing the best for them. You know, they don't have much. We need something for this, and I do it, and they're okay with it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you go through like some kind of briefing. You know, when I don't know the client at all, you know, it could be like a band or something I'm working for that I have no idea who they are, or I haven't listened to the music and don't know much about it. I try to ask them a few questions like, what do you guys like, or what kind of persons are you? You know, what kind of music have you grown up with? You know, just I try to interview them for a while. You know, just ask some questions and get
some
to
background.
Get a feeling. Yeah, to get some feeling on who they are. I don't usually want to ask like, what do you want on your like album cover or poster? I just want to get a feeling on who they are, and then I kind of twist that into something that I think they would like.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
But it also has to work with the audience, you know. So you can't really just make something
for them.
For them, no, it has to be something that I think would work. And also nowadays, because most of the jobs always brings me more jobs to this, as we spoke with the Fever Ray cover that it.
Yep.
And so I also think like, if I make a poster or album art like this, I need to be able to use it for like maybe a t-shirt, or so I need to, some things that I need to think out and try to work through before I can start. And then I usually I do some sketches and I send it to them. And it's basically pretty rough sketches, you know. And if they like that, I just finish it, you know. And usually they're fine with it when I've finished it. But sometimes they're like, yeah, we really like this, but I don't know why you put a dog there, you know.
Okay.
And then sometimes I maybe have to remove something, you know, or add something. But I try to not get too much info, because usually, like, if you work with like a big client, they know that I do it better than they. But maybe a smaller client, they ask their friends what they think, and they ask their mom what they think, you know. And then everybody comes back like, yeah, my secretary thought it would be cool to have this on, you know.
My sister's husband said that.
Yeah, and I think like too many chefs, you know, that's the saying, you know.
Yeah.
So it's better to just do and I also pretty good at arguments why I put stuff where it's supposed to be, you know, because I know what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah.
So when someone says, oh, make the text bigger, it's like, yeah, but that doesn't make it more visible, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Many times I have to defend that. Usually it's like, the text must look much bigger. But like, if I do it bigger, you won't see it at all. You know, it's like you need to have the negative space and like other things around it to make it pop, you know, and lots of times it's like the logo looks too small. And it's like, yeah, but this poster is 70 times 50 centimeters. So it won't be small when you see it on the city. It just looks small on your screen, you know. But, you know, things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then when they finished they kind of agreed to the sketch, I sit down and I draw it usually with ink on paper.
Yep.
And then I scan the drawing in pieces and stitched it, because the drawings are usually very big, so I can get really detailed.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So then I scan it in pieces and I stitch the scan together again, which it's too expensive to go like with these big scanners that can take like very big scans. So I usually use a usual scanner, but I scan it really, really high resolution. So I get every little mistake I've done is supposed to be in there too, you know.
Okay.
And then I remove everything except the ink in the sketch. So I have basically like a bitmap with just the black is the only information in the image.
Okay.
And that kind of leaves my personal lines very, very intact. So I never use like vector graphics and things like that, because I think that just kind of destroys everything I like.
Yeah, sure.
But
doesn't feel alive, like I was saying
no,
earlier.
but with logo types and things like that, you have to do that. But when I do drawings, I keep the ink lines intact.
Right.
And then depending on what kind of print it is, if it's like just a digital print or offset print, or if it's like a screen print, different ways to color it in different programs. And then I color it everything in digital, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going through that. How do you call it? Oof, like the.
Yeah, my book. Yeah.
Yes, the book's exactly. Kind of like retrospective of your work, at least until that point. I think the book came out in 2018 or around there.
Yeah.
And I loved, I was like, why is it called that? And then as I read through, I read that you said that you wanted to provoke that effect to the viewer, basically, that you wanted the person to see a drawing that you've done and be like, oof, like, oh, wow. And that's exactly how I felt watching a lot of the stuff that you've done. Like, wow, this is incredible. Like the first initial shock of like, wow, this is impressive. And then you kind of dig in and you see all these little elements and there's like so many details. You can get lost in some of your drawings. It's pretty, yeah. So I really like that. I was, just putting it together, like, why is it called that? And then feeling like, oh yeah, that makes sense that the book is called that. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah, that's the basic idea with it. I like, it's like some friends of mine always say, like, they're always stoked on things, you know, when you show them something, they're like, oof, that's so cool, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I named it that, because I wanted that reaction. You know?
Yeah.
And that's still why I work. That's the biggest, that's more important than getting paid for work, is to get that oof from my peers.
To create that excitement. Yeah. This is a side question just for me, but I was wondering if, does it happen much with clients today or in the past that, for example, they knock on your door and they come with a project and then you have this back and forth with like you maybe do a first sketch and they're like, oh, we maybe like get the dog out or something, like tweak it like this and whatever. Does it happen that some clients end up like not working out? Like they say, oh, like maybe this is not the direction that we wanted, or like, yeah, I was just wondering if that ever happened or if it happens from time to time, like if clients don't work out, basically.
It's happened a few times, not that many times, but well, sometimes it's like when they want me to sketch on something. Okay. Because they don't really know what they want, you know. And they want me to do like, can you do some suggestions on what you think we need or something? And sometimes it just, they kind of go another route, go another way, you know, in their approach or something. But well, usually it works out, or I tweak it kind of the way they want more. But well, it happened a few times that we just don't connect. And sometimes I've even ended a partnership because we have so different views on what you want to do, you know. It's this doesn't work out because you don't understand what I want and what I want to do, and I don't understand what you want to do, you know. Yeah. But that's very rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank God. Yeah, I was asking that because my sister, I have 3 older sisters, and one of my sisters is an illustrator as well here in France, and she's told me that in the past, like sometimes she'll have clients, she starts working on a project with them, and then they just come back with new, like, oh, actually, can you do this like this? Can you change this like this? And it's happened a few times that it went to a point where she was like, well, I'm just so fucking tired of, this back and forth. Like, let's just do this thing already, like this is going nowhere. Like you just keep coming back with new modifications, or like even you want to start from scratch again, and like, so I was just wondering if that happened to you quite a bit.
Yeah, it does. It has happened, but it's usually because the client are insecure on their product. Probably they don't really know what. They think that there's like the design or the logo or something is like a quick fix. If I have a cool logo, this will make my thing cool. But they don't really understand that.
The bigger picture, yeah.
The bigger picture that the logo doesn't make you cool. You make your logo cool, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's happened a few times that someone sends me logos and said that we want something in this style. And they always incorporate some old skate logos. It's always like the Santa Cruz logo or something. Because they thought that was the coolest logo when they were growing up. But what they don't understand is not the logo that's cool, it's what comes with it.
Yes,
the whole
absolutely.
Culture that comes with it. So you have to fill your logo with that coolness yourself.
Yeah, the storytelling behind it and everything.
And it could be the same thing with if you're illustrating like a book or something in a magazine or something. Maybe the client isn't really like satisfied with their own part of it, with the text or something, and then they want to fill it in with more in the illustration. But I don't think the illustration shouldn't tell the same story as the text. The illustration is its own story, and I think that comes the creative person that creates that image is the one that's supposed to fill that with their creativity. So you add something more to your text or to your product.
All right, let's do the next one. This one is from Ian Deacon.
Ah, cool.
Co-owner of Flip Skateboards.
Yeah.
So he said, what is your favorite graphic that you've done for Flip?
Oh, wow.
You've done a bunch of great ones, yeah. I was looking at some of them.
Lots for Flip. Dude, that was hard. Well, the most popular one, I think, is the Louis Lopez one with the cartoon cat walking down the street and it said Cop Chiller. That's the one that most people seem to like.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole series was really good, I think. And then I liked the ones with the products, with the like razor blades for Luan.
Oh, yeah.
And that was really good too. There's so many of them. I've done like maybe 150 graphics for Flip. It's really hard to...
Yeah.
And kind of the first series I did, the one with the motorcycles, that was cool because some of the old team was still around. So I got to do a Jeff Rowley and a Tom Penny graphic, an Arto graphic. But that was the only graphic I did for the old team. So that was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would probably say the Louis Lopez cartoon cat graphic was my favorite one. Oh, and the Matt Berger one in the same series.
The same series,
with the beaver crushing.
Oh,
LA.
yeah. I like the one you did. I didn't know about this one. I just checked it out the other day. I don't know what it's called with like the visual effects on the boards. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the optical illusions.
Yeah, exactly. Optical illusions.
Yeah, they were really nice too. But I don't feel that they are my graphics really. Since it's like famous optical illusions.
Yeah. It's not really your style, but yeah.
No, it's not I put it together and I made it work so that everybody fell into the same kind of frame. But since the optical illusions are old, famous optical illusions, I can't really claim that they are my graphics.
Yeah. So. Sure.
Yeah, but they look good. I think they look good too.
It was interesting also, like researching you for this interview, like I read that and I never really paid attention to that, but I think you mentioned somewhere that you usually do a graphic only in the like the middle of the board, basically, but like between the trucks, like not on the top, like the nose or the tail. And I never really thought about that because I've never like drawn a graphic for a board, so I don't really pay attention to that much. But and also that you like to usually do a board graphic vertical rather than horizontal.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think of good, iconic horizontal board graphics throughout the years from anyone. And I couldn't really think of many, but one that I saw recently was this, I think it's an old, maybe a 101 board for Jason Dill with like Winnie the Pooh or something. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't know that one, no.
Anyways, but
I got two. The Corey O'Brien one I talked about, my favorite graphic is like that. And also... that Julian Stranger graphic with a car, it's just like a lowrider car. That's a really great graphic, and that's horizontal. Yeah.
Okay. But so you usually do vertical.
Yeah, but it's mostly because everything I like is done like that. Posters are almost always like that in that format, and like comic books and like everything is made for that format. So except graffiti, which is the other way around, but. Yeah, and putting it between the trucks in that area is kind of like back in the days when they couldn't really screen print the tail and the nose. That's where it ended up, and it looks so good. So why change a winning concept?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And you don't want the graphic to look like a wallpaper too. You know, it's standing out. You need that negative space around it to
make it pop. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see. The next one I have is from Fredrik Nilsson from Street Lab in Malmö.
Yeah, Street Lab,
Street Lab, yes. The owner of Street Lab. So he said, it's linked to Flip. He said, after making all these graphics for Flip skateboards, can you just kick back and enjoy life and wealth?
No. Skateboard graphics doesn't pay very well.
Yeah, even if it's Flip. Yeah.
No, not even the big company. Actually, the smaller company actually pays better than the big companies.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say that, but that's true. Yeah, no, it doesn't. I have to work all the time. I don't have any I never made that much money that I can just put in a bank account and. You know, I work.
Buy an island somewhere and retire.
Yeah. No, and I work all the time, and I still do, and I will have to do that, especially in these times when illustration is like the value of art is devolving. You know.
Yeah.
No one really cares about it. People just steal your shit and put it up everywhere, and AI just takes your intellectual property and sells it to other people that calls themselves artists, but they haven't done shit, you know?
Yeah.
So...
tough time for artists.
Yeah. It's just like I just have to work more, you know, to live. But I also enjoy working, so I don't know. Mm-hmm. If I had that kind of fame that someone would pay me $1 million to make one piece a year, you know, I probably would have a really hard time to come up with something good, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's better to just or at least for me, it's better to just
do a bunch of different things. Yeah.
Do it done. Yeah. And just stay one step ahead all the time, you know?
This is a question from me, but I told you my sister is an illustrator as well, and she's been doing that for I think 10 plus years now. And I know that at times it's difficult. Like there are times where she gets a big order from a client or something and gets a lot of money, and she can like chill for a few months or something. But usually most of the time it's more of a grind and it's a struggle, and sometimes it's even very difficult at a point where she even considered maybe getting a real job, so to speak. I mean a steadier job with a steadier income and everything. And I was wondering if you have experienced that at some points in your career where you felt like this is getting a bit too unstable. Maybe I should just get a more stable job and keep doing drawings and illustration on the side as a side gig, but maybe have a more stable income for the rest of it. Or
yeah, when I was younger, my career wasn't really blooming that much. I definitely had those kind of thoughts, but I also always came back to that I would be really bored. I can't really do. I don't have an education or something that I can fall back on, and I don't have any work experience now since I've been doing this since I was a kid. I've been a mailman for a while when I was in my youth.
I saw that,
and I worked at the advertising agency, and I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know how things work in the real world,
Yeah.
Like especially in advertising and things like that. My experience with advertising are 25 years old, so I don't really know how things work
These days.
but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do know stuff that no one else knows. I know how to color separate the most the hardest images to color separate for screen print. I know these kind of things that make me unique. And I also do some jobs. I have clients that I don't do the designs for, but I help them make the design work for, because nowadays people in art schools and design schools, they have no idea how to make things work for print.
Oh yeah.
So I can maybe, like someone's like, oh, we have this pattern that this guy made and we really like it. Can you make it work for print? And I color separated it and make the repetition of the pattern work better and things like that.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So that's a skill that I have that most people at the agencies doesn't have.
That's something you can fall back on whenever you need.
Maybe, but I could also maybe be like an art director or something. But if I would work with something else, it probably wouldn't be art or like design.
Mm-hmm.
It would probably be something else. Yeah. So, but I don't think I will stop doing this. So.
Yeah, well, I sure don't hope so. Yeah, I hope you keep going for a long time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but when COVID hit, I actually terminated my company for a year.
Okay.
But as soon as the clients came back, I started a new company.
Okay.
I knew that this was temporary and I need to continue doing this.
What did you do during that year?
I went swimming a lot, and I lived down outside of Stockholm, then like south of Stockholm in a like kind of naturey area. So I went swimming a lot, and I walked around, walked in the forest a lot, and hung out with my family a lot, And I also drew a lot and planned stuff because I knew I had this exhibition in 1.5 years. I had this big exhibition at the regional museum there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So I was like just thinking about how to
put it
make
together.
That work and to plan that. And the thing is that COVID, the restrictions dropped the day before the opening of the exhibition.
Oh, okay.
So I had like the visitors record there at the museum because everybody came that day.
Yeah.
It was perfect for me.
Yeah. People were stoked to get out and like be in the world, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. So if I could work with like going swimming in lakes, that would be good.
Yeah, like a lifeguard.
That was I was doing what I was doing when I didn't sit home and draw.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. You took some time with your family and took care of yourself.
Yeah, but that was like the first time I felt like I had a vacation because I've been working throughout the summers and everything all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Do you have kind of a routine during your week where you're like, okay, today I'm not working like at all, or like maybe just in the morning, or do you try to get days off, or do you work like every single day?
I usually don't work on the weekends, but sometimes I do. And sometimes I take a day off if I don't have anything very, very urgent, or if I'm like totally cramped with work and I'm like feel so stressed out, I try to do something else, maybe just take a like afternoon off and just go for a bike ride or something to clear my head.
Yeah, absolutely.
or go meet some friends in the evening or something. Because my kids live with me every other week, so not all the time. So when they are not here, it could be pretty lonely just sitting working. So I try to meet my girlfriend or my friends, try to do something else to get out of the house,
Yeah, sure.
But I'm also pretty good at, when I work a lot, people can say like, are you not afraid to get like,
burnt out,
stress out so much? Yeah, burnt out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I am, because I'm a little bit too lazy for that. I get, when I get tired, I go to sleep, or when I'm like need a rest, I just go lay on the sofa for a while and turn off my phone. And
okay,
so
you listen to your body and like,
yeah, definitely. And I also have like really like physical in my body. I have some back pains, and my neck hurts and my arm hurts,
Okay.
Since it's probably old skateboard injuries coming back to haunt me.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but when I have that, I really feel, okay, I need to move more, I need to do other stuff, I need to stretch, I need to do, so I try to listen to my body a lot. And also my mind, when you sit staring at something for 10 hours in a row, it's you really need to go out and just look at the horizon for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This next one I have is from Sean from Chrononaut Skateboards.
Ah, cool.
So he said, Martin is in the top 10 skate artists of all time, in my opinion. For me personally, top 3. I wonder if he could estimate how many dots he has placed on paper in his career.
No, if anyone's seen my style, I do a lot of like renderings with dots and small lines, and like kind of shading with making thousands of small dots. So I could not estimate how many, but it's
millions.
Probably millions, yeah. And it's I'm probably one of the top 10 people that done most dots in the world.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But I've seen artists on Instagram that make just whole giant pieces made out of small dots, but I try to mix it up. I use all kinds of small dots, small lines. Just black, just white. I try to mix all these techniques together to make a kind of a personal expression. Yeah.
Do you still work with Chrononaut these days? I'm not sure. I know you did board graphics with them in the past, but...
Yeah, I've done... we just had a few new ones came out like a month ago, and I still have one that is not out yet. So yeah, that's probably the only skate company I've done stuff for the past years.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's not, I don't know, it's I haven't done any for any international companies in a while, but I'm kind of happy working with Chrononaut too. But it would be fun to get one of those like super big jobs again, you know.
Sure.
But now they have to pay me.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. This is for me, but are there newer, so to speak, board brands out there that you find exciting, graphically speaking? I don't know, like brands that have come up in the last maybe 10, 15 years?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the new board bands are the ones that are inspiring and cool to see. And I think, maybe they're not like craft-wise. The images are not as good, but the ideas are reflecting like the new generation. And I think that's a good thing. That's how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to take their style and not, for example, if you look at maybe like skiing or something. Well, nowadays it's starting to change what it looks like, but it still kind of have the same graphic look.
Aesthetics.
Overall, or like other sports too, have like the kind of same aesthetics as it had in the 80s or 70s, or at least looking back a lot. I think skateboarding is pretty good with looking forward a lot, and making up new stuff that hasn't been done before. And some of it is really good, some of it it's really bad, but I always think it's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think the older companies, the older brands or the big brands should be better at conserving this kind of culture, this tradition we have with good skateboard graphics.
Yeah.
Because some of them are getting really lazy, just pushing out logo boards, and even seen some AI graphics now, which is sad to see, I think they have a responsibility to not just like preferring the skateboarding in itself, but also the culture around skateboarding.
I just saw, I don't know if you saw this on Instagram the last few days, but Elements has just come out with a new series of boards that are supposed to be more eco-friendly, you know, like using better sourced wood, or I haven't looked really into it, but I just thought it was interesting because it's like very current, you know. Of course, every board brand out there, or every brand, whatever it is, should, you know, pay attention to the environment and try to reduce its carbon footprint. And I was just wondering like what your thoughts were on that, because like obviously graphics on boards, especially if you're using like lots of different colors and inks, I think that's what they were talking about also in the ad campaign for Element. They were saying that basically the boards were very simple, like just one color or two to kind of reduce again like the amount of different inks used and stuff. So
yeah, I don't think the graphic process is the
most polluting,
the most polluting part of you can use like eco-friendly inks. Doesn't make a difference. It's more expensive though, but well, I don't think it even is anymore. I don't think even you can buy the really dangerous inks, you know. But it's the glue that is from what I understand, is the glue and the wheels and the trucks. Like those are the parts that is really bad for the environment.
Yeah.
But it's great that they try to come up with new ideas and stuff. But
they're trying.
Yeah, it's they're trying. As long as it's not just like greenwashing, you know.
Yeah, hopefully.
That they claim they're doing much more than they do, but I hope they don't, you know. I hope it's for real.
I hope as well, yeah. But I just thought it was interesting because I don't feel like board brands are addressing this a lot, you know, throughout their campaigns. Like they're not talking about
that's true.
Global warming or
No, and I would say Element is probably one of the few ones that does, you know, and
emphasizes on that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but you've seen that like the past maybe 20 years, it happens now and then that some company come up with a new product that's supposed to be more eco-friendly and things, but unfortunately they disappear after a while, you know, and they're back to the same old things. But I don't know much about the process of making skateboards.
Yeah, manufacturing boards, yeah.
So yeah, and not how to sell them or anything, you know. So I'm not the right person to talk about it. But of course it's great that you're trying to do eco-friendly stuff. That's good for the environment. That's great. And I don't think skateboarding is as a polluting activity. You know, it's a pretty good activity. It's
great. I mean, it's healthy. It's creative. It's great for so many reasons, for sure. Yeah. But I guess it's just that today people need to be more mindful and.
Yeah, definitely.
Like something that kind of I thought was cool when I was a kid was seeing pros break their boards, you know, like getting pissed off because they're not making a trick or whatever. Yeah, but now I feel like it's a little bit lame. You're like, well, I mean, I understand the frustration, but like, I think give it to someone or punch a tree or I don't know, do something else. Do whatever you need to release that tension, but don't break your board. Like, you know. But
I think maybe more in the skateboard clothing world is the one that should be. Because a lot of skate brands make merchandise and T-shirts and stuff, and I hardly ever seen anyone using eco-friendly or fair trade things, and that's where the real thief is, the cotton industry.
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the next one. This one is from Stefan Sagmeister.
Oh, cool. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, I saw you mentioned him in the Oof book at the end as a friend or like a mentor of some sort. So I reached out to him.
No, I've never met the guy. He's just one of the biggest like record cover artists in the world. And I saw that he posted my album art a few times on his Instagram. So when I did the book, I reached out to him for a quote.
Okay.
And he agreed to write a quote, which was really very, very nice of him.
Yeah, that's cool. So he said, what was your favorite part about working with Fever Ray? 1,000 greetings from 14th Street.
Wow. That's amazing you got him on the show. And all of the guys, it's really cool
there's more. There's more.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. Yeah, I would say, working with Fever Ray I shared an office with Karin Dreyer, who is Fever Ray. Mm-hmm. I didn't know her, but she rented a room next to mine, and I had no idea what she was doing because she was in this band called The Knife. They were pretty big. Yeah, sure. But they were kind of masked and had lots of makeup on it, so I didn't recognize her from their videos or anything. So, and we just started talking during lunch, and she said that she had a band with her brother, and I was like, oh, cool. So, what's your name? And she was like, oh, The Knife. And I was like, what? Is that you? You know? But the cool thing with working with her was that she gave me like total creative control, which is really she was like, I want it to be in black and white, and I want it to be a drawn picture of myself, and I want longer hair on my picture.
That's it.
That was
Wow,
about it. Yeah.
incredible.
So then I did the cover, and she was like, "Oh, cool, looks great." And then she went on tour, and then like the album came out, and all the other, and they like record companies from all the world that had licensed it started like calling me like, "Oh, we need a 12-inch single for this song. Can you make a graphic for it?" And I was like, "Why are you calling me?" And I was like, "Oh yes, Karin just told us to okay everything you do." So I had like I could do whatever I want.
That's amazing.
And they were printing it. Yeah, so that was amazing. And also that Karin understand the value, because she's an artist. She's not a musician. She's a real artist.
Okay,
you know?
yeah.
She understand the value of art, and she paid me really good, even though we hadn't even worked together or anything. She was like, "Oh, this is what I'm paying for this." And it was more than I ever got for any job, anytime, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I work with way bigger bands that pay way less.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I really love her integrity. She's got really, you know, she takes stands in political questions and like things like that. And she hardly ever shows her face. You know, she's not one of those poster persons. She's she makes up personas for every album that makes the album. It's not her, it's that persona, which I think is really cool. And it was great working with her. I'm so grateful that she wanted to work with me, because that really launched my career way further.
It sure did.
Really quick.
Yeah. That's so cool to hear. Yeah, that it was, I mean, of course I knew it was this pivotal moment, but I didn't know it was such a great experience working with her like respecting your work and being so like open-minded with anything that you would come up with, and paying you properly and everything. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, and that image, the album cover image, is probably my most known image, I would say, worldwide. I have some things in Sweden that are probably people recognize more, but I get tagged in those images like almost daily on Instagram.
Yeah,
people
to this day.
Tagging me in the record cover.
That's amazing.
And that was 15 years ago or something. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that I'm being like affiliated with her, which is because I really, really respect her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's nice, yeah.
All right, let's do the next one. This one is an audio one.
Hello, Martin. How are you doing? This is Roberto Rodriguez. So my question is related with music and the current music scene there in Sweden. You know that we talk a lot about previously about the Swedish hardcore scene back in the 90s, ending 90s, and how it was important for other countries in Europe and some parts of the United States as well at that time. So my question is related with nowadays. So here it goes. Do you think there might be a band in your city right now that will make a big impact and gain maybe a lot of attention in the near future? And if so, what should we pay attention to? Clutter band? And a bit more, what kind of relationship do you have with this band? So that's all. Thank you so much. Big hug.
All right, that was Roberto Rodriguez. He's a friend of mine from the Ruka Artist Network program. He's from Spain.
Exactly.
And he's an amazing artist and a very funny guy. But I know where he's coming with this, because he was really into Swedish hardcore music in the 90s. Like, because Sweden had a big hardcore music scene there, and the band he's talking specifically about is my daughter's band.
Yeah, that's what he told me. Yeah.
They just signed a record deal and like
they're called Clutter, right?
Clutter, yeah. But hopefully they will get a lot of attention in the future. I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. And then, there are lots of Swedish bands that are really like going big in the world now. But I don't want to say like bands that I'm kind of know people from, you know, since it's. But, you know, of course, there are like the Viagra Boys and stuff that are really big right now in this in the scene. And the Hives are still going, touring, and the Millencolin guys, you know, they're still doing their thing. But I think there are probably a lot of like younger people that make cool stuff. Hopefully it will be big, you know. Yeah, but I don't know. I can't really name any names.
Yeah, I understand.
No. Of course, Sweden has always had a great music scene, and there's always been really good music coming out of Sweden. So hopefully that will continue.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Yeah. So you mentioned that you knew Roberto from working with Ruka, and I was wondering, when did you start working with them, and is that still going, or is it like where is it at now?
When was that? I don't know. Maybe 7 years ago or something. They contacted me to do some t-shirt graphics, and then they invited me down to France, to Biarritz, to come do some like a lecture at their like sales meeting and talk about my work.
I think you mentioned that on the Visual Revolutionary podcast.
Yeah, so that's when I met Roberto and Benjamin, Jean and those guys. I also met Timber there. They're famous for element graphics. Amazing people, all of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I've done like maybe once or twice a year, I've done like a few t-shirt graphics, and I was also in the Ruka Artist Network program, so they've like been promoting my work a lot. And then 2 years ago last summer I had a whole collection for Ruka coming out with like everything, like from t-shirts to shorts and pants and shirts and hats and towels and products and everything with my stuff on it. Mm-hmm. But since then I haven't done anything for them that I can remember now. Okay. So I don't know. It's like it's also been a little bit like some of the people that I've been working with has quit, and so I don't really know. I'll see what happened. But I'm forever grateful for those people. They're a really good company, really good people working there.
Okay, the next one I have is from Marc McKee.
Wow, amazing.
Of course, legend in the board graphic game.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
So he said, how did the art for that Warhol's World puzzle from a few years ago come about? And if you could meet any of the people that were featured in there, who would it be?
Wow, that was
cool. I didn't know he did that. I just checked it out yesterday. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Amazing that he looked that up too, because Marc McKee is one of my absolute biggest influences. It's amazing that he knows who I am. But that puzzle was, since the publishing company I worked with a lot, Document Press, they started making puzzles because they sell a lot of books to the museum shops. Yeah. And they probably figured out that we could sell puzzles too. So they've like had some cool puzzles with great artists that's done. And they asked me if I wanted to do a puzzle. And I thought, I kind of went a little bit, I just thought what would sell in a museum shop,
Yeah.
And without like stepping on any IPs or copyrights.
Right.
So we thought I made like a Warhol inspired puzzle, which is not featuring Warhol's art. It's just featuring, like, I imagine a party at the factory would be like with all the famous people he hung out with.
Yeah, right. Like Lou Reed, a bunch of people.
Yeah. All of those guys are in that image. And me and on the publishers at the Document, we just started like reading up on Warhol. Who did he hang out with? Who went to his parties? Who, so there's probably like 60 or 70 like portraits of people in that image of famous people. So
super cool. Yeah, I love the.
Yeah, so it's everything from like William Burroughs to like Lady Pink, or like some graffiti guys, or Keith Haring and like the Ramones. It's like full of cool people.
Yeah.
But the ones I would like to meet, dude, that's hard.
Yeah, all of them.
Very, very hard. Yeah, all of them probably. Grace Jones.
Oh,
that's cool. No, but I would think the one I probably had most fun with would be like Ricky Powell or someone, because we put him in because Ricky did a book with Document Press like maybe 2 years before he passed. Mm-hmm. He was a famous street photographer, and he had taken some pictures of Warhol and Basquiat. And I put him in as a teenager, which he would have been at that time. I put him in the picture as a little bit of tribute to him.
Okay.
So, probably him or Lee or Lady Pink, one of the graffiti guys, the people that I could connect with. Yeah. I don't think I could connect with, Elton John or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Oh, Patti Smith would be cool.
Oh,
to
yeah.
Me. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The next one I have is from, so his name is Eggs, graffiti artist from Helsinki.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So he said, what is your favorite non-graffiti spray paint brand?
Non-graffiti spray paint brand. That's a typical Eggs question. I would say The Belton Ral cans, because they were kind of my generation's spray cans before the graffiti brands came. And when those came, because we used to paint with a brand called Auto K, and then Belton released this whole new series of colors called Belton Ral, and they were amazing. They were like these purples and light blues and like turquoise colors that hadn't been functioning. There've been those colors around, but not as like covering and great paint, you know. But since the graffiti brands came, you don't really use those old car paints anymore, because they are so toxic and smells really much and are very expensive compared to the graffiti paints.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a funny question. He's great. He's got a big exhibition in Helsinki now.
Yeah?
You should, everybody there should check it out. It's called Embassy of Eggs.
Okay, yeah. Sick. Okay, then I have a few questions from Björn Almqvist from Document Press. So he asked a couple of things. He said, how does skateboarding influence your art? That's kind of a broad question, but...
Yeah, I think I covered that already a lot.
Maybe we can skip that one then if you want.
Yeah, but I want to say something about it, because I thought about that, because I thought that question would come up actually. But I would say that it, like having an interest when you're young, and it comes back to that word oof again, you know. You have an interest that makes you go, oof, that's so cool, you know. And I tried to bring, and that really came through skateboarding, you know. You saw these, first of all, you saw the skaters, you saw the boards, you saw the clothes, you saw the videos and everything. When you were young, you were like, oof, that's so cool. I really want to be a part of that. And I've always tried to bring that kid in me, you know, to bring him to what I'm doing right now, you know, to have that feeling. I still have that feeling just looking at other people's work, and that could be like work from the 16th century or anything, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool, you know.
Sure.
And I'm really like driven by Stoke or something like that, you know.
Sure.
Like, and so that I think I discovered that in skateboarding.
It started there, kind of,
It started there, yeah. It's a great feeling. Yeah, and that still influences me, you know, that kind of the feeling you get when you see something that you think is really cool and you want to do something as cool as that or cooler than that, you know.
This is a side question again, but I was wondering how much skateboarding you watch, basically, or consume these days. I'm not talking about skating yourself, but more like, do you pay attention to videos that are coming out, magazines, interviews, podcasts like this one, or stuff like, do you keep an eye on what's going on in the skateboarding world, or are you a bit more like kind of detached from it?
Yeah, I would say I do. No, I don't skate that much because I got this back that hurts a lot, you know. And every time I'm fine, I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna go skate, and then it ends up me being like
hurt
can't
or
skate
like
for,
sore. Yeah.
But I really like just rolling around, and I really like hang out with my old skate friends, and you know, hear them talk and see them skate. It's really cool. But I follow a lot of people on Instagram that puts up clips, both like my old heroes and like young people that I think are really cool. You know?
Sure.
And I read the interviews when it's something I'm interested in. I listen to the podcast when it's something I'm interested in. But it's like, you know, like the bigger podcasts, when I see it's like a name that I don't really know, I probably skip that one.
Yeah, sure.
Because I can't relate to people that started skating in the 2000s. And it's the same thing with like music podcasts. It's like, oh, when did you get into people that like found the music they are playing at a really late stage, and like they're influenced by bands that I think are, you know, the watered down version.
Yeah, sure.
No, but of course, but sometimes there comes like a new skater that brings something really new and really cool to the table, and that's always super inspiring, and I love to see what they're doing. But I also follow kind of the skateboard scene more, because the scene has been so much. Now it has really grown the past years with all these like schools and you know, mental health issues and like all that kind of stuff. I think it's really and like aid, like the Skatistan and like all those kind of things. It's really interesting to see the positive things coming out of this culture.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I definitely listen to, and especially I listen to it when I see like when there's an old pro that I really looked up to. I'm like, I have to listen to this now. You know?
Yeah, sure. I feel the same way. So obviously.
Yeah.
And so, the next question from Björn is, when are we doing the follow-up to the book Oof, Mander Selected Works?
as soon as possible.
Yeah. I hope you do another one. That would be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been thinking about it I start actually as soon as I sent the last book to the printers, I started putting things together for my new book.
All right, already okay.
Yeah, but then I need to revisit that file again too, because I've been doing so much. Even the first book was maybe like the first 20-25 years of my career, but now it's been like 5 or 6 years since it came out, and I've done more now than then probably.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I got a lot of stuff to put in there, but I just have to get the time to put it together. And of course I'm going to go with Document Press, because they are family.
Yeah, sure. He asked the last thing. He said, pick 3 records that are the only records you can listen to until the end of time. And why do you choose these 3?
Oh my God, that's so
an impossible
hard.
question.
That's an impossible question. I've been thinking about that because when I was young, there's one record, because I've had this question before once, and I really liked The Clash when I was young.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I bought that record Sandinista. That's like a double record, which is like a really experimental music. And I never got it. I was like, I don't get this. This is so strange.
Yeah, okay.
So I would probably have to buy that, because it's bring that to the desert island, because it's like so many songs on it that I didn't understand, and maybe I will learn to understand.
We'll have time to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, I have no idea what to bring. That's too hard to. There's so much good music, but there's also, probably something that I've listened to all my life already, that I haven't been tired of yet, like the Ramones or something, or Bad Brains or something like that. I'm not tired from it yet, or fucking Run DMC. Since I haven't been tired of it yet, maybe I will never will.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not tired of it now, I don't think you'll ever get tired of it. Yeah. Like if you've been listening to it for 20 plus years, it's gonna stick.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I will need to bring some old records.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. The next one I have is from Per Englund.
Oh, Per Englund, yeah, cool.
Photographer from Stockholm, I believe.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm curious to know how the recent discovery of a 3,000-year-old rock carving in Mander's neighborhood affected him on a human level, and which of his own designs he would like to put in a time capsule for future civilizations to find. Wow. That's an interesting question. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's because they found this rock carving in my neighborhood.
Recently?
Yeah, last year.
Okay.
And it's like the oldest one in the Stockholm area. It's like a cliff in a park, and no one has just noticed it before. It's just like some archaeology students sat there in just the right when the sun was going down and just saw the shadows. It was just like perfect timing, and just saw the shadows from these, because it's so old, so it's like torn down. You can't really see it, But someone's like, that looks like a ship, and they're like, holy God, it's a rock carving that no one knows about. And it turned out to be like a really, really, really old one from the Stone Age or something.
Crazy, wow.
Yeah, but me and Per went to look at it together, because they filled it in with chalk so you could see it.
Okay, yeah.
And I know where he's going with this, because it was an old man standing there looking, who started talking to us, and he just didn't stop talking. He was so into this, and Per was like, "Oh, I have to go, bye." And I got stuck with him for like an hour, and he was just standing there talking to me for an hour.
He abandoned you, yeah.
Yeah, he abandoned me there.
Good luck with that.
But then I went back to show my kids, and then it had rained, so the chalk was gone, and I couldn't find them. I couldn't see where they were.
Okay.
But there's a sign there that says what it is. It says like some ships and wheels and like a sun symbol and things like that. Yeah. And what I would put down in a time capsule? Oh, that's a tough one. My book, probably.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
That's got a lot of my art and some texts about my work. That will do.
Yeah, perfect. Or the next book, yeah.
Yeah, the next book would be even better.
Yeah.
Or both of them. Like the Mander collection would be good to put in there.
All right, this next guy is Milko Özlü, something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
sorry
cool.
for butchering his name. How do you say his last name?
Perfect. Özlü.
Okay.
I think.
He said, I always wanted to know what lessons or insights Martin picked up through skateboarding that he successfully translated into his artistic career. And also, please thank Martin for being an inspiration to me growing up. Some of the guys in our crew ended up pursuing creative careers, and Martin was one of the guys showing what it means to be truly obsessed with your craft and how that obsession will pay off and make your fingers hurt.
Well, that's a great question. It's so cool that you got Milko on it. He was, when we started going into Stockholm to skate, when we were like maybe 12 or something, he was one of the first guys we met, like at the spot. And he was super talented skateboarder. I've never seen anyone skate flatland as stylish as he did. And, yeah. Unfortunately, that was before we started filming. We only have a few clips of him skating, but it's beautiful, and super creative, And he's an amazing industrial designer now.
Okay.
But yeah. Lessons from skateboarding. It's probably this thing I talked about, the Stoke thing.
Yeah.
That would be what I've transferred from skateboarding. And also that thing, like, if you want to do something, you want to do a trick, and you just have to practice, to make it,
Yeah.
And if you want to get the recognition from it, you have to show it to someone,
Yeah.
But that's like life lessons.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if I got that from skateboarding or something else, but since I skateboarded my whole youth, probably I got it from there. I don't know.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I don't remember where I saw this, but you mentioned somewhere that basically it's important for you to have your work be seen.
Yeah.
I know this guy in France. I don't know him personally, but he's a famous comic book artist. His name is Joan Sfar. He makes comics books. He makes like a lot of different things. And I heard him in interviews saying that he draws all the time. And I think most of the work he doesn't even appear anywhere, and that he kind of draws out of like necessity, like it's something he needs to do. And I was wondering if you have that kind of same approach where you're doodling all the time and maybe writing down ideas. And so do you have like a lot of sketchbooks of stuff that never saw the light of day, or?
Yeah, but I'm not the kind of like a sketchbook artist that lots of like Finsta, the guy who we talked to, if you look through his sketchbook, it's like pieces of art. Every page is a piece of art. My sketchbooks are just like super small, crappy ideas, tags, my sketchbooks are just for like remembering something, I hardly draw. Well, of course I do sometimes when I do like my own art, but I don't draw. Since I work all the time, I don't draw much that isn't supposed to go anywhere,
Yeah.
But if I do something for myself, I always have a clear idea that where I want it to go in the future. It could be like an exhibition or I try to sell the image to something, or just like...
You need to have a purpose for it, kind of.
Yeah, sometimes it could be to, if I haven't put anything on my social media in a while, maybe I should just do something though, so that they don't forget me when I do something. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I got this funny idea. I just have to do it now. And that's usually like quicker things that I draw. But usually most of my work is for a client or has a purpose. But all work has a purpose, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
But my sketchbooks aren't, most people, if you look through my sketchbooks, you wouldn't even see what it is. But I usually, when I get a job that I don't really know what to do, I can't really come up with an idea, so I usually just sit and look through my sketchbooks and I find some old idea that I had and maybe tweak it a little bit to get it to work, because I can still read some of those old sketches. Sometimes I'm like, I have no idea what this is supposed to be, but sometimes it's like, like I did some like a t-shirt graphic for the band Danko Jones, like a Canadian rock band. And I had no idea what to do because they wanted 2 t-shirts and I had one idea and the other one was like, I can't come up with another idea. No, it was a tour poster and then it turned into a t-shirt. But then I just looked through his sketchbooks and I found this old picture of a toaster and like with a devil coming out of the toaster that was hypnotizing a piece of bread.
Okay.
And it was so stupid idea. So I was like, might work. And I sent it to them. They were like, oh, great, let's do it.
That's funny.
And that sketch was maybe like 15 years old, so I have no idea why I did it. Or
it just appealed to you, yeah.
Yeah, it appealed to me because it was stupid enough to work,
I was watching a couple of days ago, Jimmy Fallon was interviewing someone, I think it was Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
And Jimmy was saying basically that he, in the middle of the night, sometimes will have ideas and will record them in a voice note like we're doing now on his phone. And sometimes he listens to it in the morning and it's like just gibberish and it's like...
Yeah.
Anyways, I was just wondering if you have also like a lot of ideas that come during the night, for example, when you're sleeping, or do you have moments in your day where you feel like inspiration kind of flows a bit more than the rest of the time?
Yeah, I've done that. I woke up with a great idea, and I even dreamt up a whole idea once that I sketched down. I just woke up and took my sketch pad and drew it, and then the other day I tried to sell it to a client.
Okay.
But that didn't work at all, because in my dream this was like the perfect, because I was working with this Swedish band Graveyard, and I was doing some t-shirt graphics for them. And I just dreamt that I did a t-shirt graphic for Graveyard, and I dreamt that I just came out with like the greatest idea. So I sketched it down and I sent it to them and asked like, oh, this is my idea and I was kind of hoping for them to like, this is the greatest idea, but they were like, we don't get it at all.
Sorry.
and then when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I totally get that, because it's just a dog, it wasn't, didn't really make any sense at all. No, but it was just in this dream, this was the best idea. But otherwise, I come up with a lot of ideas when I used to go out and just ride my bike, just ride around. No kind of goal or anything, just bike around, get some fresh air. That's a good time to come up with ideas, I think, yeah.
4 years ago, when COVID started, I was in my parents' house in Brittany by the ocean with my cousins.
Yeah.
And we stayed there for a couple months while it was locked down here in France. And during that time, I started doing like just silly videos with my cousin for Instagram, and we would just be doing stupid shit. And I don't know, it kind of opened just ideas in my brain. And I would go on runs, and while I was running, I had ideas for new videos, like, oh, we should do a video where we're like fake parachuting, or a video where we're doing this. And I had so many stupid ideas, and sometimes I had ideas where I was like, oh, this is so cool, this would make such a great video or a great photo or something, and then we do it, and then afterwards it's just so bad. You're like, wow, how did it go from this was going to be the best fucking thing ever, and now it's just ridiculous, and I don't even want to show it to anyone because it's just so stupid and it doesn't make any sense,
Yeah.
It's just funny how sometimes you have high hopes for something that you're gonna work on, and
definitely.
then it ends up being like a total disaster or something.
Yeah, I'm working with t-shirt graphics now, where I had this idea of making, the Atlas character, the what do you call it, like the god Atlas.
Yeah.
He's carrying the earth on his shoulder, and I wanted to use that reference to a piece. But when I look at it, it just looks like one of those, Muscle Beach t-shirts.
Okay.
It doesn't have that kind of historical feel to it. I don't know how to. Just looks like a buff man carrying something. Hopefully, I can tweak it to make it look cooler.
Okay, so this one is from your daughter Hilda.
Wow, that's amazing.
So she said, "Hi, Dad. Now that you've had an exhibition in a hair salon, what other unconventional places would you want to use as a gallery?"
Wow, that's a great question. That's so fun that you contacted her.
How did that happen, the hair salon exhibition?
No, I was thinking about getting a haircut, because I always have my head shaved, and I started trying to grow it out.
Yep.
And then I have a friend who's a barber. He's also like a sign painter and a pinstriper and stuff. So I thought maybe I just tried to go and see if he can make me look good. And I went there and we were talking, and he was cutting my hair, and I was like, because I've been thinking about putting on my own exhibitions, because I can't just wait for people to contact me and do exhibitions, So, and I figured out that I need a place really central that people walk past, or like people don't feel like it's hard to go there or something. And I was like, do you guys have a pretty good location here? It's kind of in the cool part of town, and it's like anyone can walk in. So, and they didn't have anything on the walls at all. So I was just, can we do an exhibition here? So I just hung up all my posters there, and they invited people, and there was it became a really fun party.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
And now they're using this space. Now they have another exhibition there. So now they're using it for exhibitions too, which is really cool. But I have some ideas on where I want to exhibit. It's like I went to this gig once in a kind of parking garage, which was, and I thought, like, if they can have a gig here, maybe I can have an exhibition here. That's one thought. I also went to this event that was in a container, like a metal container in a And I thought, like, maybe you could have an exhibition in a container
Yeah,
somewhere. You know?
it's going to be
It's
small,
like,
but yeah,
oh,
could be interesting.
yeah, it's but I can't do, because if I do an exhibition like that, I can't do one of those big exhibitions where it can't be a retrospect.
Oh,
I
yeah,
have to
yeah.
have a concept.
For sure,
you know?
yeah, definitely.
So that would be a pretty perfect size for one. But I don't know, I have lots of ideas. Like usually it's non-conventional exhibition spaces. It's just how to make it work. You have to have someone working there all the time, you know, and it has to be open like for at least a week, you know, so people can get the time to go there.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, but I can exhibit anywhere. It's just that I don't want because most people that ask like, oh, we got this cool place, you want to do an exhibition here, and you come down and it's like covered with graffiti or covered with other art on the walls, and I feel like that doesn't make justice to my work to have all this other stuff around it. I need to be like a clean space where the work that I'm showing is kind of focus on that.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like galleries work, you know. When you go to a show that it's like, usually in the graffiti world, it feels like lots of shows are like that. There's like pieces on the wall, and then you hang your art on the piece, and it just takes away it's too much because my work is so detailed that you need to kind of focus on it for a while.
Absolutely, you know? 100%.
Yeah, but I have lots of ideas. But it was really funny you contacted my daughter.
Okay, the next two ones are audio. Let's see.
Hey Martin, Charlie here. Hope everything is all good. I have 2 questions for you. First question. If you would have a different job if you were not an artist, what would that be? And my second question would be, do you have a dream client you just haven't worked with, or a dream assignment? If so, who would that be? What would you love to do? Martin, thank you for all the inspiration and all the help. And cheers, Quentin and Martin.
Yeah, that was Charlie.
Charlie Nilsson.
Right? Yeah, who works with, he's an amazing tattoo artist, and he works at Brigadier Gymnasium.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if I already answered those questions.
Well, the different job, I don't think we...
Yeah, different job, I don't know what it would be. I would probably want to work, I don't know. I kind of like the mailman thing, but I think I'm just nostalgic about those days, and I'd probably be kind of tired of it after one day.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I can't really come up with anything else that I want to do besides doing what I do.
Okay.
And what was the other question? Oh,
dream client? Yeah.
Dream client.
Or
assignment. Oh my God, No, I want to do, as I said before, I want to do like design things on a bigger scale, you know, like maybe, and also a lot of like public art assignments would be cool. Mm-hmm. Or if someone asked me like, oh, well, because I wanted to do comics my whole life, but there's like no economy in doing comics, especially not starting in my age doing it, you know. So if there was like this really big publishing company, which doesn't exist, you know, that would come like, oh, we're paying you in advance to take a year off and make this graphic novel or something, I would really love that. You know? But I don't think that would happen.
I wanted to ask you that, like, if you had ever considered doing graphic novels or, My sister does some, and I think she does enjoy doing them, but it's a lot of work and it's not very much money. So it's a little difficult to make a living out of that,
Yeah, that's the kind of people I respect the most, the people that does comics and graphic novels, because it's so much work, both writing and drawing and like the whole publishing deal with it, and it's so much work, and they hardly make anything out of it. So that's they are the real culture workers. You know?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, but I've thought about that since I was a kid, almost every day, that I should do that sometime. But I've started but I always take like too much. I have too high ambitions, if you know what I mean. So I start like doing this super, like writing a script that is like 120 pages long, and you know, I started doing this super intricate pages, and then I make like 6 pages, and I'm like, oh God, I can't. This will take 3 years. I can't do it. So I don't know. Maybe shorter comics would be easier for me. That are maybe 6 to 10 pages or something. But the whole graphic novel thing is just too much work. But I really enjoy it, and some of the best artists around are those people that makes those, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having an idea or a script for a comic book is a struggle in itself. But like if someone, for example, approached you and said, I have this idea for a comic book, this is the script, we can work on it together, but I have the general idea of what I want to do. And you can just come in as the illustrator, you know, the artist, and rely on the script and not have to come up with the story yourself. Have you ever been approached to do something like that, or?
Yeah, a few times actually, but I don't usually find the script that good.
Okay.
Well, some of it has been good, but I don't just have time. But usually when people come, well, more like people writing children's books, with everybody who get kids think they can write children's books. You know?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I wrote this children's book and I want you to illustrate it. And it's like, and they think like, now we're going to get rich. And it's like, this is not how the publishing world works. You can't really even get the children's book published because everybody writes a children's book, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So it would have to be something else, you know, something really, really, really good. And that's usually I turn those kind of things down. And I haven't experienced someone with a graphic novel idea, but it's still so much work for me. It's still like a year's work.
Exactly,
and it's, I don't know how to make that work financially.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like if someone came in with a super exciting project and told you like there's no real deadline, let's just work on this together, and if it takes 3-4 years, whatever, like
No, I can't work without the deadline. I will not do anything. I need the deadline.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, if it has to be really good. I have to be like, this is the best thing I've ever read. I want to be a part of it, you know.
Okay.
And the other person has to be super passionate about it too, but not interfere with my passion.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like, that's probably an impossible equation.
Yeah.
Like,
well, difficult to make happen for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I will have to be someone I really, really trust, and I know that we really work well together. And since it would be a really long project, so I don't know. Mm-hmm. Are we still on dream projects?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, well, of course I want to do something super visual sometime that everybody knows, like, you know, like an album cover for the biggest band in the world or something, but I don't know, I'm on my way there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, of course it would be really fun to make like an iconic series of skateboard graphics again, you know, for one of the big companies with worldwide distribution.
Yeah.
That puts a little bit of effort into make it become good and iconic themselves. Because I don't feel like graphics should be like, oh, we need to just put out this amount of graphics all the time. It's not. I really liked it in the 80s and early 90s when the graphics were, you know, iconic. They lasted for a while. They got their own recognition, not just but I don't know if that could happen anymore. It's the world is moving so fast now.
Yeah, it's true.
But if some of the big companies would contact me and like say like we want to make a whole series of cool decks, and you know we like your work, they need to like my work before.
Obviously, yeah.
But then I would definitely want to do more graphics, you know.
I was wondering, like, since you're from Sweden, I was wondering if you knew Pontus Alv and if Polar was ever a brand that you would see yourself doing graphics for, even though, I mean, obviously the identity of Polar is very, very different from your work. But I was wondering if that was ever something, you know, that you either, just thought about or maybe... Yeah.
No, you kind of answer. I know Pontus a bit, and he's a great guy, and I really like what Polar is doing and has done for the past 10 years. Getting old. It's like I consider them a new company, but they're pretty old.
They're
now,
like,
you know?
what,
yeah.
Maybe 15 years? I'm not sure what... It started in 2011, maybe? 2012?
Yeah, and Pontus and Sami's new Last Resort, the shoe company that they make, are really super cool too and everything. But they are creatives themselves. They don't really need me.
Yeah,
they are good at what they're doing, and I don't see how I can come into that equation really.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
But it will be fun to do something for them sometime, you know, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And they have kind of a different, or at least Polar has, you know, their style is not kind of the same style that and I think it's important for skate companies to keep their style.
Have a consistency,
bit, you know,
Yeah,
to separate themselves from the other brands, you know.
All right, let's do the last one.
Hey Martin, this is Andreas Glad in Malmö. You have done so many amazing things over the years and established yourself as Sweden's #1 illustrator and graphic designer with a unique and distinctive style. What's next? What's your dream project and with whom? Skateboard, music, fashion, or something completely different? And for this, your dream project, the budget is unlimited. See you soon.
Right, that was Andreas Glad, an amazing person, skater, and an amazing artist too.
So same kind of question than Charlie.
It's the same question, but I kind of think, I don't know.
For example, if you did an album cover, like any artist, like who would you want to do an album cover for?
Oh, that's so hard because most of my favorite artist doesn't really make music anymore. And most of them already have a specific style that they already use. I have no idea. It's like it would be fun if one of my friends' bands really blew up and got this budget to do this. If someone might want to make a compilation of their 25 years of existence and want to make a gatefold vinyl cover and a merch campaign and poster campaign around it, and that would be really fun, especially if it's someone I know that I can get inspired by in that sense.
Sure.
But also, I kind of also happy just doing a 7-inch for a friend's band, without pay. It doesn't really matter to me if it's really big, but if I have no idea. Actually, I just take the day as it comes.
No, and I think that's a good approach.
But that thing about doing more this is kind of more in the business side to it. Instead of just doing things that I quick fashion things, I just do a thing that is one capsule, and then next year it's gone. And then I would like to do some iconic, more patterns that could be licensed to different things than just that can have a longer lifespan.
Okay.
That could be in 10 years, it's it's a school book cover or a backpack in Korea and bed sheets in the US, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting.
And also, that thing about it's not that fast, something that lasts longer, because most of the stuff I do is pretty fast. It's like a concert poster. It's up for 3 months and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And then it's the next thing and then it's gone. And the skateboard graphics are also pretty fast, it's and especially in this world where everything is digital, so everything will disappear when in the future
nothing
will last for long. I'm really an advocate for doing things in the real world, like physical things, and I hardly don't do any record covers that isn't pressed on vinyl or on CD, or at least the image should be on a t-shirt, something that exists in the real world. That whole digital thing it's a waste of time. It doesn't exist in the real world. It's the digital world is it's gone. It's updating all the time. So because I value what I do too much to just throw it away.
For sure, yeah. And
Andreas
also asked what's next, kind of, and I was wondering if you could tell us about maybe some of your upcoming projects, stuff that will come out in the next few months, maybe.
What's coming out? Well, I still have a graphic for Chrononaut coming out soon, and I have also music-related stuff coming out that I can't really talk about. More gig posters for big bands coming out.
Cool.
And what else? I'm painting this. I'm doing a graffiti job at this festival in Malmö this weekend, on Saturday. So hopefully I will meet Andreas and
maybe John
and all of those guys.
Malmö locals.
And I would definitely drop by Street Lab and say hello.
Yeah, sure.
So that's what I have planned. I don't have much planned for this, but I'm also thinking about the new book and also some kind of exhibition, and I really want to combine that. It would be great to have a new exhibition and launch a book at the same time. Maybe try to plan it out better, because usually I don't plan anything. So that's something on my to-do list, to start planning things better. Yeah, but then I don't really know, because the summer, I work in seasons, I had the most stressful time. I always have super stressful right before the summer.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Because, everybody wants because we have this industrial vacation in Stockholm, and everybody goes on vacation and everything closes down for a month,
sure.
And every client wants everything ready before that.
Yeah.
And then also it's the most things happening outside of the work too, it's graduations and and it's all the gigs and shows started happening just around the same time, and it's so much to do. But so for this fall, don't really have any plans yet. Well, I have had some interesting conversation with a museum about not an exhibition, but more a design job for a museum in Sweden, which is really exciting. I really hope that would go through.
Cool.
Like it's a bigger concept design thing, which is sounded really interesting.
Awesome.
And then I've also had some public art installment this summer, hopefully. I haven't heard from them in a while. They're looking for this building permission still for this project. So that's about it for the summer. And after that, I don't really have anything. Yeah, I have a little cool project with Sneakers and Stuff, which is a Swedish shoe store.
Oh, yeah.
Chain.
Yeah.
They have one in Paris, I think.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned it in some of the interviews you've done. Yeah, your collaboration with them.
I got a project with them too that I'm working on right now.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really feel any angst about not having anything planned. I kind of feel it's because I know that if I don't have any jobs, I get the time to work on my own stuff, and it will end up somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel like I don't have any jobs. How am I gonna get money? It's just like it will work out. I think.
Yeah. You made it this far
Yeah.
for this long, so yeah, no reason that it shouldn't keep going. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It's always like when I look at the people I have looked up to a lot that had long careers, sometime around when they're like 40 or 50 years old, they kind of get lazy, you know, and just starting repeating their old stuff, and I really hope I can avoid that somehow.
Yeah.
And I think mostly by not changing my technique, because a lot of people because when they start using computers, it doesn't get better.
Yeah.
So hopefully I will keep on drawing as much as I can by hand, and I will get better at it all the time. So yeah, hope I just don't get like old and tired and stop having ideas.
Yeah.
You have to stay in contact with like what's happening, the new stuff too. You can't just repeat, because that's a thing with a lot of old illustrators and like the people I grew up looking up to, that they were talking about things that happened, when they were young. They were always like repeating like their childhood memories and things like that. And it was kind of hard to relate to when you were a kid, So hopefully I can keep on staying updated with newer influences and things, and see what the kids are talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of, like, you have children and you go out. I mean, you're not always at home and alone.
Yeah, and we're usually like among the oldest people at everything I go out on, So
okay, yeah.
I got a little bit of insight what's happening. Yeah.
That's cool, but I think the simple fact that you're conscious of, like, you don't want to follow that same path as these people that you mentioned, that you don't want to, get stuck in your ways and just keep repeating the same stuff. And I don't think you'll experience that. The simple fact that you're aware of it now and that you're going to try not to fall into that trap, kind of. I don't think it will happen. So.
Yeah, but I think I'm still evolving all the time. Like I noticed I'm still becoming better at what I do all the time, which is a good thing, which makes me think like I haven't mastered this thing yet.
Yeah. There's still progression.
I would try to do that. Still progression.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's the kind of a difference from skateboarding. When you get older at skateboarding, a lot of my skate friends that I think are really great skaters, they still like, I can't do it like I used to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But in art, you don't really need your body like that.
Yeah, well, there are certain exceptions for skaters, like Guy Mariano, for example, is an anomaly. Or even like Jérémy Daclin, I don't know if you know who that is. He's the founder of Cliché Skateboards. He owns a brand here in France called Film Trucks. And he's like probably the best known, OG French pro skaters. And he's like over 50 now. I think he's 52 maybe. And he's still ripping. Like, he's obviously not doing like rails or gaps or stuff like that, but he's doing a lot of curb skating. And he's doing like crazy maneuvers that he didn't do when he was like 20. When he was 20, he was doing big rails, big gaps, bigger stuff. And it's just so incredible to see him in this completely new realm of skating. It's definitely not as impressive maybe for someone who doesn't know much about skating, but to see him still having so much fun, and I think he's skating like every day at his lunch break and doing like crooks to back nose blunts on like big like curves, and it's like so inspiring. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing to see those people that like when you go to the skate park here, there's like the same crew when we were young, the older guys, you know, were really rowdy. They were like over 20 years old, and like we thought they were like so old.
Yeah.
And many of those guys are still around, still doing the same thing, and they're still like ripping, you know. And they're in their almost 60 years old. And some of them are 60 and over 60.
Yeah.
But they're still like, they're like the rowdiest bunch at the skate park still.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that's super inspiring to see those guys. And they are good too. Some of them are amazing, like skaters too. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And also just see like because we have this thing called Gold School, like a yearly competition with a kind of 90s gathering. Like the skaters who were around in the 90s started gathering and have like this age limit competition.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year was like, 30 years age limit. And after a few years, we're like, what's all these kids doing here? Let's raise the limit. Now it's 35, you know. So we need to raise it again soon, I think. But, you know, and that's always fun to go there and see all the guys you grew up with still ripping. And some of them are still amazing. And some of them hasn't skated for years just come back and win the competition.
Wow.
It's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And some of us, maybe me, doesn't even bring a board because I can't bring anything to the scene, you know.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I'm the same. But yeah, no, it's interesting to hear that you feel like there's still progression in your art, and that you still feel like there's room for more, and it keeps feeding itself, kind of.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, well, yeah, let's wrap it up here because I feel like we could talk forever. But this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Mander.
It was super nice and super cool. Thanks to all the people that came in with questions. It's amazing you got all these people.
That's it for my conversation with Martin. Follow him on Instagram at Manderoid, Manderoid, and go visit his website mander.nu to check out some of his work and buy some of his merch. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon for a new episode of Beyond Boards.